auth component, and that's really a central certificate authority for security, in intra-Envoy security. And at the edge, much like we had Kubelet in the Kubernetes space, here in Istio we have Envoy. Envoy is in its own right a standalone proxy. It is the core of this mesh. What Istio is really doing is adding a layer of control on top of what Envoy can do. So you can talk to Envoy directly and do all the sorts of things that Istio does, but without a control plane, it's a little harder to manage that particular Envoy-based deployment. And here you can see, in this diagram, you can see the most common way of actually deploying Istio, which is as a sidecar or a second container within a Kubernetes pod. All traffic within that pod then gets directed into and out of the Envoy proxy, which then handles all the forwarding, security, metrics, telemetry, etc. type resources. So Istio is a service mesh. It really supports a microservices style platform, and it gives us all the things that microservices really need. Number one is observability. We can actually understand how traffic is flowing within this environment. We can actually now trace traffic from ingress all the way through to the different resources that we're talking to, so long as we're passing the right class of information. But because we have some idea of how that traffic is flowing based on the monitoring capabilities, we can actually trace the end-to-end path within an application. Traffic management aspects. So the Envoy component, the Envoy service that is being managed by Istio is really a full-featured load balancing type service. And in doing so, we obviously have the classic round-robin and weighted sorts of traffic management, but there's also things like health checks that come into play to verify that remote services are available. There's a number of different technologies that are built around this concept of managing the traffic and managing the forwarding path of data within the environment. There's also a policy layer, so we can actually start to determine who's allowed to talk to who. That's an important piece of the puzzle. And this policy layer does sit effectively a layer higher than the policy layer in Kubernetes, where the Kubernetes policy layer really looks at just network to network or namespace to namespace class communication. This is really looking at application component to application component. So it might be a little bit more flexible and functional for what people are looking for when looking at security or policy within a microservices environment. Security, again, this is really dealing with the concept of mutual authentication, knowing that both sides of the connection are actually the sides that they say they are. And again, this is being delivered through Envoy's ability to provide TLS level security, HTTP2 based security between two ends of an adapter, effectively two Envoy instances, and that's a real powerful component. And what all this does together is it gives us both the mesh, which is really this concept of security mapped to the interaction between the different services, and that's really our service mesh capability that comes from Istio, built on top of tools like Envoy. So one of the most interesting things about this is that while Istio really sort of, I think, bloomed within the Kubernetes environment and became more powerful because of it, it certainly works with a number of other resources, including tools like the Mesos and Mesosphere schedulers and VCOS, Cloud Foundry, OpenShift, just about any PaaS layer can potentially make use of Istio in the background. And more importantly, we can still tie Istio services into virtual machines as well. Yes, you effectively have to run Envoy at the edge within the virtual machine to provide the same interaction services, but you can still do this and get all the benefits of the service mesh, even for components that are not being deployed in a containerized environment. So one of the key components of all of this, above and beyond Envoy, which we'll get to in a moment, is a tool called Pilot. So Pilot is, in a sense, it really is the core of the Istio control plane. In that it is managing all of our distributed Envoy load balancers. And again, the Envoy load balancers can be manually configured into a service mesh of their own. This is really sort of providing an abstraction model and then also the platform interaction adaptations for Istio. So Istio, through Pilot, is pushing out the configurations that allows Envoy to manage traffic forwarding on a potentially pod by pod, container by container, or service by service perspective. And at the same time, it's providing connectivity into other services. One example is in terms of service discovery. Because of the connection between the applications in Envoy and Pilot, Pilot now becomes your service discovery endpoint. It's your way of determining where I should go to get a particular service. At the same time, Kubernetes has service discovery and service registration as well. So discovery is one aspect, but I still have to be able to update some resource to tell it where services have gone. So if I deploy additional pods, even if they have the Envoy load balancer as a sidecar, as they would with a of an environment, I still have to tell some service that this new resource now exists so that it can get mapped in. And in the pilot and Kubernetes way, that actually happens through interaction between pilot and the Kubernetes API to learn new resources, much like a Prometheus would for monitoring, or really any other service that wants to be aware of new resources coming online and getting mapped into the environment. And the same thing is true for the other services that Istio could talk to, is that we're going to provide these adapters to connect these resources together. And so really, again, pilot is the control plane to a certain extent of an Istio environment. It sort of tries to keep that model, manages the rules and the forwarding models that are required to configure Envoy appropriately. Now, the real workhorse in all of this is the Envoy proxy. This is a high-performance, small memory footprint load balancer. Some people would say, well, why don't you just use Nginx or AJ proxy or heck, any standard load balancer to do this? Well, one reason is that we were looking for, the community really was looking for something very lightweight, something that could potentially drop into every single pod as a sidecar container, so you don't want a very heavyweight application to do this. And you also want something that can reload its configuration and restart without actually impacting the forwarding flow. Envoy was built with that model in mind, and that allows for or improves the API configurability, because I can now add and remove resources, add and remove concepts within the load balancer configuration without having to stop and restart the load balancer, breaking any and all connections that were going through it. So it makes for a very powerful and important component in how these resources fit together. Another key aspect of Envoy is the HTTP2 and gRPC models. So while it supports HTTP1 based forwarding and is a transparent proxy for HTTP1, it's more interesting, I think, in HTTP2 sense, in that HTTP2 supports neutral TLS. Actually, gRPC, which uses HTTP2, is a core component that was pushing that neutral TLS authentication. Basically, the ability for both sides of the connection to confirm that they are talking to somebody that they're supposed to be talking to. So securing both ends of the connection rather than just the effectively inbound direction, classic web server kind of approach location. As I said, API configuration is an important aspect of this. By focusing on API interactions, API configuration, obviously that drove this need to be able to do effectively a hot restart, not dropping any traffic, unless now that the policy has changed, of course, to deal with that. And then, of course, because all traffic in a mesh model goes through the load balancer, suddenly we have a great deal more visibility into what's going on within our environment. We can start doing flow tracing. We can deal with some of the advanced load balancing features in a more centralized and distributed fashion. Health checks can be distributed.
shit, time flies, man. So basically, my how to template the jam in Terraform. So when it render it out, I think it's pretty weird to see it become it's not very well. So I mean here we have some kind of encoded jam here. I think this is very good. We can actually use this one to render this part out. And most importantly, I think we are talking about uh, I mean not really. Yeah, I mean this should be authorized key, and what in this should be simply NDS key. So I think we can try this out for now. I'm not sure if it's actually working, but we can take a shot on it. For this one, I will just leave it out away, and yeah, we can just run it. I'm really tired at the moment. I really want to sleep, but I have been sleeping the whole day, so I'm not sure should I sleep now or not. And I actually really want to play some kind of video games, but Steam is not working. Not sure why, but it's just simply not working. I really want to reboot my computer to see it's actually error. But anyhow, let me just try to wait for this to provision. Actually, endor idea of Vietnam having mooncake. When I think about, I'm not sure why I think about it. I'm not sure what came up with the idea. I think about mooncake, and then I think about tradition. And when I think of tradition, I think about um, very high, very senior manager of equity. His name is Hoàng Nam Tiên. So Mr. Tiên is actually very nice guy. I would say I have met him for twice, and I actually have a chance to into his car, and he actually have driving me back to my dormitory. I'm a friend with his son, but I think we don't have that good much of the good chemistry as at all, because he asked me to support him in a project, but he point out it's a bit dictatorship. Uh, yeah, so I don't really enjoy it. Okay, let's just cut this file again. I will talk about him again later, but for now we want to see how this works. So we have the authorized key, and the indentation is not that great. I afraid we are making this template a bit wrongly. So the way I do it, I think we can. I'm not sure why this tab is not really working. I mean, the key is supposed to be working, right? I mean, look at this. So I know the idea. I mean, is there an alternative way? I mean, the previous way I do it is simply like this, and it's actually working for the first time. And when I render this out for a second time, it's just not working anymore. I'm definitely not sure why, but I really want to know why. One thing I can do is try to some kind of TI console, and then I can actually run this template file here. Okay. So variable will be which one? I'm not sure if I can paste it in. No, it's impossible to paste multiple line here. One thing I could do is go to Sublime Text and remove all the new line of this guy. Just so basically each of this one I must end with a quote, something like that. So let's just remove all the line. When I watching the first video about Laos Viet today, I'm kind of surprised. I really surprised of how Laos really uh, they are really love Vietnam. In many ways, it's really special relationship. I have to say, I have never think that it's some. I have never know about that before. But when I start thinking about that, I just realized that yeah, they actually really nice. The population of Laos is so low. I mean, they are some minority. I'm not sure if they actually enjoy having baby or I'm not sure what is their motivation of. Yeah, I really want curious about history of Laos. I mean, you know what? I just don't know what is Laos, and I mean the population is so low. It's very low that I never thought that. Yeah, Vietnamese. Being a Vietnamese, I'm very surprised about my history as well. There are so many changes throughout history, and I mean it's very special in some way. When I look at all the Baltic country or things like that, I do curious about their history as well. But not Baltic, Balkans, yeah. So we have Baltic state, we have Balkan state, and Nordic countries. Yes, very mountainous. When I when I think about the world in general, I see it's so wonderful in many ways. It's very diverse. I just wish I know more language and I have the chance to be more to more country just to know what is the world around looks like. Obviously, I can look it up in the internet and try to embrace it as much as possible. But perhaps if you actually go there, live there for several days or even months to really observe the people or the culture there, to know the people, to know the weather, the food, the surroundings, the views, things like that, and just really understand how the world look like. It's really amazing. I'm not sure I mean I can live almost live anywhere in the world, and with the most important thing I must have internet and access to the internet and electricity, and the basic needs like food, securities, and some kind of, and clothes, and then I can just live anywhere in the world. But I obviously I prefer to live in the place. It's just like my place I'm living right now, which I can access to most of the service I need, like a haircut, or simply go to coffee shop, or simply buy grocery and buy anything I need. But in general, I would say the world is a very beautiful place in many ways. I mean, it's so diverse. It's so you have so many things to know, to explore. So yeah, I mean, just look at this. I really want to travel to one of these places to know the place. I'm not sure how the travel costs in Albania. We look up in the Google. It's actually fucking cheap, man. Okay, the price of the cost of ticket is actually high. So you will prepare some kind of 100 million Vietnam dongs. I mean, no, it's actually high. Yeah. The most difficult thing travel outside of Vietnam is actually is a plane ticket. Yeah, the ticket price. So I really try to understand. It's actually possible. If it's actually possible to travel with very low cost, like under 5,000 US dollar. No, yeah, 5,000 is actually a lot. I would say for average Vietnamese like me, I would just spend a month salary is like 3,000, under 3,000 to travel. I think that is at most I can do, and I can do. And yeah, so it's hard to make that kind of bucket travel, especially if you go to Europe. It's very far away, and it's actually costs a lot. So I'm not sure what to say, but I'm not sure what to say. But honestly speaking, travel is expensive. But anyways, I like their beaches. It's so beautiful. okay, it costs like thousands of US dollars just to fly. So certainly you must have some kind of good budget to go. So yeah, but the hotel price is is actually not that costly. Now let me check in the just 1 second. I need to wait for this one. Yes. Sorry. Okay, so I work with waves. Anyways, yeah, the hotel room is actually so low. Come on, man, this is a lot cheaper. And the hotel room is actually no, it's actually no more. Not that beautiful, perhaps. It's really simple. It's I have to say it's really simple. Not too much here. It's actually worse than Vietnam. Yeah, you know what? I actually prefer to travel Vietnam now. Vietnam is simply has more beautiful hotel room. Let's look for the most expensive one, like this one. Even the very high cost one is still shitty. I'm not trying to say shitty word here. I mean this one looks okay. This one look okay, but yeah, you know what? It's actually not as good as Vietnam. Anyways, so I mean, let's look at this. We already have this one working. The template is working, and the only thing left I'm not sure I should do is actually injecting the private key and actually use that private key to run some kind of command. But I don't think I have any use case of that right now. I mean, it could be nice to have. It's just a nice to have feature in case in future I want to boot up something beforehand. But other than that, I don't think I need to add anything here. So I think I can just remove the bucket. This bucket away. Okay, one thing I want to check is the Docker. Oh, holy shit! It's actually running. That's kind of amazing. I never thought that I could have run this one. So yeah. So far it's a huge success for me so far. I'm able to use user data to boot up at least 2 users and able to configure the package to install Dockers. Reinstall this thing is really important anyways. So I feel very blessed to have this running up and running. Uh, yeah, so I don't necessarily need this one to be run because I will install my cluster mostly through Ansible. So Terraform code here I just install something that I think it might be useful. I could move some of the Ansible code here. For example, like one of it could be no. Let me just go to CRIO. Some of them could be just this kind of packet, you know, and yeah, it could be helpful. It could be helpful if I move this one away. So assume that is the case. I will just move it now. So you guys know that I actually really want to reduce our amount of steps that I need to run. So yeah, so basically I won't install Docker anyways. I will just use CRIO, very lightweight one. That's not the reason to do that, but my main reason of not using Docker is just because I don't feel the necessity of install another package just to run so CNI, CRI for Kubernetes. I just feel like I just want to use this one directly, and I don't have to install another package docker-d CRI for, you know what I mean, right? Yeah. So we have the init and the NetTools as well, and possibly I have to install HTOP. I'm not sure if I have installed it yet. So there's plenty of things to install here, Okay, we click it. It's almost morning here in Vietnam, and I still enjoy doing what I'm doing. In both cases, I think a happy life should be consist of should be consist of a balance between many feature of life. So those features consist of a healthy relationship with people around you, and a healthy lifestyle, which is have a sufficient sleep, have a good healthy food, have a do exercise. I mean things like that, and you have to try a balance between entertainment and working, so you really have a life out there. So I'm not telling you guys what to do, but honestly speaking, I think it's very important just to um, just to strive for that balance. I do think I do look at all the people around the world, try to understand how the lives are. I think Vietnam is actually a very good place to live. If you're a foreigner, or if you're just a citizen like me, I would generally just have a very good home of my own, and then um, yeah. Okay, the tea is so hot. I need to turn on my air conditioner somehow. But before I do that, I think I need to commit my code and actually run this again. Uh, Pre-install packages. Yeah. I see you guys in next video when I actually run this one. Actually, I will run this now. Actually, yeah. So see you guys.